He said that in one crash bag there was two very mutilated small bodies.
It was round, had lights all the way around it, turning in a counter-clockwise motion. It had a dome on top with a bright light shining out through the top of it.
They could be hundreds of thousands, millions, or maybe billions of years older than us. At least one of them was part of an archaeological dig. So it's old. These are retrieving non-human origin technical vehicles, call it spacecraft if you will, non-human, exotic origin vehicles that have either landed or crashed.
Hello, welcome to Crash Landing, a UFO podcast. I'm Joaquin Vasquez, aka Jaywalk of Jaywalk Media. I'm an independent journalist, and you've probably seen me on the Union Tribune, SD Voyager, the Random Gold podcast, or most likely on Instagram or TikTok doing informative political videos. You've probably noticed that we've been on the cutting edge of recent reporting recent UFO sightings. I'm going to be honest, after covering politics, sports, and pop culture for half a decade, I can confidently say that no subject interests me more personally than UFO or the UAP phenomenon. I'm a man of faith, and the notion of extraterrestrials challenges my understanding of the universe, and frankly, it scares me. But that honestly is the main reason I made the podcast. I want to come to peace with this idea. Also, I have an experience with this. I saw a large UFO in 2016 with my cousin Christian Vasquez, who's joining me right now. How's it going, Christian? So, what's up? It's good to see you.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
So it's crazy because we've been into UFOs for a couple years, even before we saw this thing. So to kind of set the scene, it was April 2016, and we were in the backyard of his house in Point Loma, which is right under a flight path, and we saw an array of lights in the shape of a triangle. And from that shape went all the way from east across our overhead area all the way over to the coast into the ocean. And it was a life-changing experience. And I remember just the actual fear that entered me when was seeing it, because I couldn't understand it. And the scariest thing about it was that when we saw it, I froze and I completely didn't move. And the only thing I really remember was just that it was a black shape and that the lights were orange, red, yellow, green, and they had no specific pattern. They were just in a different array, almost like they were communicating. Like anything, like what else do you have to say about that?
I remember being in the backyard, like you said, and we were just out there, and it was probably 11 p.m., I guess, or it was like a little before midnight. And I remember we just kind of saw movement up in the air. And like you said, we were in Point Loma, which is, we were directly, our house was directly under a flight path. And so planes would fly over constantly. And San Diego obviously has a massive military presence. So seeing things up in the air wasn't unique. It was very, very common. But we saw movement, like you said, all the way, I don't know. I don't know how far away.
It was about 30 minutes, right?
Yeah,
it took about 30
minutes.
20 to 30 minutes.
20 to 30 minute thing. And it was this huge black, and it was kind of a weird black too. It was it wasn't just dark. It was pure
darker
black.
Than night. Literally
exactly.
Darker than night.
Exactly. And it was pure black.
To give I was going to say, to give everyone a perspective of it, the house is right under the flight path. So there were planes passing overhead, and you would hear the plane just go across, just make all this noise. But this thing was above that path, and it was so much bigger that it engulfed the size of a plane because they both went over each other.
Yeah, it was
and
massive.
the craziest thing about this sighting was that it didn't make a sound. And that's one of the things that's actually scary about it, because like you see it was like Captain America and the Winter Soldier, that movie. Like it's one of those huge battleships.
It was massive.
I got the visual of a battleship, almost like a Star Destroyer from Star Wars. It was a triangle shape.
Yeah, literally. And like you said, the lights almost were like bouncing with each other, different colors. The weirdest thing, the two weirdest things were for sure that it was, I would say even three, because it was fucking massive. It was massive. It made no sound, and it just like glid across like this. It just like was gliding across the sky, and seeing planes underneath it. And I mean, it was dead quiet, and like I just can't explain the size and the quietness of it. Like the lights, you know, lights could be anything. Like we said, the military presence, an airport, like so. Like the lights, that's what gave it like an extra. Like, what the hell is that? But like the fact that it was so big and it was dead quiet, and it just like slid across the sky for like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then like you couldn't really see like it wasn't. Dude, I don't know. It just like slid across the sky. It was insane.
That's the craziest thing, is that it could be, these phenomena could be an organic organism. Like they could be living things, but they're just so outside of our understanding, so far ahead on the evolutionary chain that we just can't understand it.
The stuff that Grusch is talking about, and like some stuff that's kind of been like brought up in the lexicon, is like he's reiterated the fact that like it's way weirder than like it's way weirder than just like a craft from space, you know. So whether it be like a mix of organic and mechanical, like I mean, it's just, you know, it could be interdimensional. It could have been freaking drone. I mean, I don't know if it was drones, but drones with a tarp. But like, I just it was unexplainable at the least.
They brought up a term that I had never heard before called ultra terrestrials. So like you've always heard extraterrestrials being like aliens, your classic gray, reptilian, whatever you think an extraterrestrial may look like. But ultra terrestrials are interdimensional beings. So that means like it's crazy, first off, to think of how smart Albert Einstein is to think of a theory that exists with math and physics, you know, like theoretical physics is crazy in itself. But then to think that this in practice may be what we're seeing, like, right. It's even sounded like a Marvel movie almost, where this could be the dimension where humans figure out how to jump dimensions and time travel. Yeah, you know, I mean, like, who knows what they just call it non-human origin.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, like it started with UFOs, UAPs, and I mean, there's just like a smattering of other like names that they're given, and it just keeps getting more vague and more like, just more vague and more like, it could just be like they just don't know what it is, or like they say they don't know what it is. You know, either one is weird.
You brought it up. Let's talk about our boy David Grusch. He is a Afghanistan war veteran, a member of the Air Force. He had access to the highest level of UFO documents, UFO videos, but it seems that there is a level of top secrecy called above top secret that he was not privy to, that he did not have access to.
Right.
And in the past, they've shown that even presidents don't have access to this stuff. Mm-hmm. So, which is where the whole gripe comes from, is that there's these private contractors that know more than the president, and what happens if these things get involved with nukes or war. Mm-hmm. It could be in the like our futures could be in the hands of the wrong people.
Yeah, and I do believe that 100%, that there's the president need to know. I mean, look at our last two, you know. So
that I wouldn't like Trump, Obama, Bill Clinton do not seem like people that you need to know about UFOs, to be frank.
No. They like their big, beautiful yards, you know.
They're doing just fine. But I think that's crazy because he reported he was a whistleblower. And
Mhm.
within his own department, he basically said that there's information that Congress is not receiving after sending out a legitimate affidavit for all information, and they still withheld it, which is illegal because we, as the American people, do deserve this to know this information. We do deserve disclosure.
Yeah,
But
whether
the
it be
thing
aliens
is,
or not, this technology
what,
there's something more than meets the eye, in our
let me
skies.
let me know if my kid can get picked up for 10 hours at a time and sent home with a weird memory.
Yeah,
Like, if we don't
exactly.
know that, if we don't know that for real, like, how can we protect ourselves against it? You
Yeah.
know. But that aside, Grusch, one of the things that is one of the criticisms about Grusch is that he only has secondhand knowledge, but it seems that he may be one of these information leakers, and he may be working with some people behind the scenes to force the hand of the government to disclose the information that they have.
Yeah, I find it pretty unlikely based off of, I mean, no information, which sounds dumb, but like I just can't see him working alone with like this information and coming forward. I just can't see why he would bring all this down on his head and his family's head, because he's alluded to him being threatened, family being threatened in any way possible, financially, physically, emotionally, whatever. He has alluded to that it hasn't been great, that he's done this and talked about doing this for years, and he seems pretty prepared. He seems like he did not wake up and was like, I'm blowing this league. I think he has a game plan, and I think he's very calculated.
He has had secret intelligence meetings now with Congress that are under oath, and he's shown them things that has these freaking politicians walking out looking like ghosts, fucking
Right.
horrified of what they just saw. Stuff that isn't released to us yet.
Yeah.
So there's like they've alluded to footage of UFOs landing on aircraft carriers. They've alluded to UFOs being too big that we can't move them. Like there's a mothership in a country not America. They've alluded to having beings and having studying their genomes and DNA. But like it's all BS until it comes to fruition through Congress. But like we have been getting, at the very least, there are real vehicle videos. And that's something that we would have thought we never would have saw 20 years ago.
Right. And like say none of it is ultra terrestrial or extraterrestrial. Still, what is this technology that is out there that can cut on a dime at Mach speed, or unexplainable like propulsory like direction, so say throw aliens all the way out, and still what is this that is being withheld from? I mean, if we're gonna like continue military operations in other countries and stuff, and other countries are gonna do the same thing, like who is using this tech? A freaking private company like Lockheed Martin or Bastille, or what is it?
General Atomics.
Oh man.
Northrop Grumman, one of them has
Right.
it, you know what I mean? So
yeah, so
allegedly, of course, this is all alleged. But like the thing too about all this that scares me is just, I think that the intentions of when this stuff may have been discovered in like the 30s and 40s, between like that Italy landing and Roswell, is maybe they thought this stuff should not be in Hitler's hands. And which is understandable.
That's fair.
But I think we should be able to know about this stuff, because there's rumors of there being a crash landing in the German Black Forest during the 1930s, right before World War II, because us and the rest of Europe do not know how Germany is so advanced in their tech and their manufacturing. They're light years ahead of us at that time. And it took us exactly. So there's this weird. I felt that there may be a weird Cold War of UAP tech that is unsaid amongst the world, and it was maybe just like said as a Cold War. As capitalism versus communism, or vis-a-vis America versus the Soviets, however you want to put it.
Yeah,
But maybe
exactly.
it was just like we're both have found this technology that's above our understanding, and we can't trust you with it, and they can't trust us with it. And
Right,
that's probably what's created this whole situation we're in, this geopolitical mess.
right. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
stuff that they've found and kept secret. And I mean, say they found stuff in like, like I said, the 40s, and say there nothing new has came into our possession or other countries' possessions except for these like this technology that was found in the 40s, and say nothing is coming from like orbit or wherever, the ocean, whatever. And it could just be a bunch of reverse engineering off this tech that they don't know where it's from, where or when. So like it could be. I mean, I think the possibilities are endless on whatever technologies out there, because you always hear about, like, I remember as a kid like hearing, if the public has technology, the government is at least 10 years ahead. And
Yeah.
some of the technology we have now, like, I mean, have you played around with Chat GPT and like, I mean,
Yeah.
even drone technologies? I was on the freeway and there's a freaking drone keeping pace with me on the freeway. Like, like it's
Really?
wild shit, dude. Yeah, dude. So like,
Yeah.
if you can buy that at like Best Buy, what is the freaking, what buttons are they pushing, and behind closed
What do we
doors?
exactly, and that'll bring us back to our original story, because I've always wondered what was it that we saw that night. And one of the most obvious like explanation would be that we saw extraterrestrials visiting from another planet or other dimension, or ultra terrestrials visiting from another dimension. But the more I think about it, the more I feel that it's humans in there, or it's humans controlling it
Operating.
with operating it remotely, or it could be just like higher tech that we don't know about.
Yeah, for
Because
sure. I mean, I remember reading stories of people seeing like the B-52 like 10 years before it came out, and then being like, what the hell is that? It looked, and at the time, like, I mean, if you still see a B-52 now, I mean, dude, it doesn't even look real, like it's unbelievable.
the difference from what we saw is we don't have anything that big,
Yeah, I would say the size of it. And
like
I
10
mean, I was
747s kind of thing.
yeah, it was
Like,
enormous. And like and I mean, I always too wonder, like, it could have been an optical illusion, like, but either way, there was if that's the case, then there was a fleet moving dead quiet. Like, it's just, there's so many different things I've thought about, but it was
to,
unexplainable.
to put on the tinfoil more, we did some digging and we looked at the New Fork website, which is the National UFO Reporting Center sighting reports. And this ship has been seen like 10 to 20 times in the last like 10 years.
Yeah.
And in the same area, the same story, just over and over and over. And it's in the San Diego area, which is a big military town. There's a huge base here. So
Yeah.
it would make sense that it could be a blend of all these things we're hearing now.
Right.
And in our intro, one of the voices is Bob Lazar talking about the ship, the tech, possibly being found in a archaeological dig. And we watched some clips of Ancient Aliens, and we talked about it the other day. What is the like piece from history that is the most convincing to you that we were visited prior to colonization in North America?
The most convincing, the most convincing thing of things being bigger than our understanding would probably be, like, art depicting like similar things across civilizations that had no way to contact each other.
Like the pyramids.
Yeah, pyramids. There's artwork with, like, I mean, I know, like, there's a lot of like abstract, like religious artwork that cultures can like interpret similar, but like it could just be like it's a new expression, like abstract art and stuff. But still, like, just the idea, like, I mean, I've seen like carvings that are, 1,000 years old with dudes with a helmet, like a freaking like, goldfish bowl helmet and like jetpacks and like, so that stuff always interested me into the subject, and mainly that stuff.
And there's talks of like, well, maybe when the pyramids were found, which was fairly recent, people forget that that they could have found way more in there. In that documentary we watched, The Phenomena, they suggest that there could have been like a ship in one of those pyramids, like it could have been King Tut's or something like that.
Right.
When were the pyramids discovered?
And also say it's not from a different planet or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it could have been. I mean, just the like, just because there's no evidence of like, like electrical stuff in the past, like I just don't see. I just refuse to believe that like we've always been building up to this point of like technology. I think technology is like could have been any. I mean, it could have been any ingenious thing. I mean, like you said, Einstein is predicting stuff that he had. I mean, he can't even explain it. Like he predicted stuff that he knew wouldn't be discovered for like 50 plus. I mean, we just gravitational waves, for example. It's like 100-year-old theory, and he did it with pen and paper, and like math, So
I'm gonna go right where you're talking about the art. One being the Mayans, how there's that one picture of Lord Pikal where he's got the nostril tubes and he's literally looks like he's in a rocket ship about to take off.
Yeah.
And it basically talks about him going to the gods and him conversing with the gods. And they talk about his tomb possibly being like a memoriam to him like leaving, because there's this one secret tomb underneath the Mayan pyramid that when you shine light in there, that there's like gold dust all over the walls, and that there's a replica of our solar system in golden balls there.
Right.
So it begs the question, how did these people see space or understand space? Was it just from the stars? Was it just from like ground level astrology, or was this from a higher understanding?
Yeah, exactly.
Because before that, these were just all like taught as myths, because frankly, indigenous people weren't thought to have comprehension of what they saw, but maybe they just were explaining it in ways that they could explain them.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
in an incomprehensible way, but just within the barriers of their language.
Yeah, language, their understanding of how things worked. Like, I mean, it is definitely possible that they just were like very advanced, like mathematical, which they were, but like how they figured out a lot of these like patterns, and like you said, like I mean, to the like degree, and like it was so pinpoint accurate, like
the way they
like
mapped
masonry
them,
and
the way they're mapped on like the equinox lines, how they're mapped within like star constellations.
Yeah.
Like, and there's some weird, funky science that is in there.
Right. They knew how time works, so they knew it would last hundreds or thousands of years, and it would still line up because the math checks out, So like that shit is mind blowing at the least. And if they did that all themselves, it's still unexplainable how they figured it out with whatever technology they had,
Have you ever seen that UFO woodcutting?
No.
So there's a celestial phenomenon over Nuremberg that they printed in like a little newspaper. So there's a German newspaper that has like a giant triangle, a bunch of cylinders and tic tacs, all fighting over Germany in 1561. And it was a mass sighting.
Now, yeah, I think I know you're talking about. It was like Star Wars,
Yeah, it sounds like episode 3.
Right.
So they basically have this guy who's an artist and a writer put them together, and basically said that there were like crash landings, that there's all this like crazy lore to it, and it's just kind of pushed to the side of history. And I
Mhm.
think that there's a bunch of this stuff, and maybe before the internet, a lot of this stuff was erased. Because if you
For
really think
sure.
about a generation of time, couldn't not be that hard to erase if there's only hard
Oh,
copyings and no digitals. You know what I mean?
absolutely. And I mean, it was a very select few men who were deciding what was important. And like, as we know now, money and power is always at top of the list. And, just some silly paintings, like, no one, not, those guys were interested in conquering.
I want to know what the Vatican knows. I want to know what the Vatican knows. I want to know what they've been hiding.
It's gross.
It's great. It's gross,
They-
right? Well, the thing is, the Vatican and Grusch is the one that like tied the Vatican in. He's like, yeah, the Vatican hid it in Italy.
Yes.
Mussolini had it for like 10 years, and then we went and
Right.
got it back, which is
Right.
a science fiction movie. But
Yes, and it is. And like, they might not even be viewing it as like, oh, it's aliens. They could be viewing it as like through a religious lens, which I think they would, that they're like, this is from God, this technology is from God.
as a person of faith too, like I don't know why like people are so against like tying those two together in either direction.
Right.
Saying one explains the other. Either way, like what do we know? Like it could be divine. Like it could be something bigger than
Absolutely.
us and more powerful than us. But what if it is just a way that the Bible explained the history of these people helping us? Either way, I would like to find out, and I would like to know all the information so I can make a decision on my own.
Yeah.
But I don't think the government wants us to. This is the question that I wanted to ask you unscripted, and I want your real reaction. Do you think that society as a whole, globally, could handle first contact and all the information that we have over the last 100 years?
No,
No.
no, I actually do not. And that's what sucks, because I want there to be, like, more than anything, like, I want there to be like a mass sighting or like mass
Yeah.
contact. Like that's what I would want. But no, I don't. I think it would be bad.
I want a unifying moment.
Yeah, that sounds great. Like
I would love a
I mean,
unifying moment, but
I
that's
saw you
kind of
post
pie in the
the
sky idea.
Independence Day speech, like rage, rage, rage into the
Oh,
dying light. It's awesome. But
yeah,
I'm pretty sure that that guy's gonna
that
get
wouldn't.
anyone giving a speech like that just getting pulled limb from limb within minutes. So
In Independence Day, the president of the United States, instead of hiding in a bunker, jumps in a
right.
F-15 fighter to fight in an alien dogfight and survives.
Yeah, and is literally
he would have got like he hasn't flown a jet in a decade, and he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go fight against advanced alien tech. Fuck out of here. Not happening.
Also, I will say I feel like there was some passion involved because he did just lose his wife in that movie.
Yeah, he's like, man, I gotta book it either way.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wrap this up with one last fun topic. This Las Vegas sighting. My gut says it's cap. My gut says it's not real, but the thing is, the police officer video and the police officer actually being scared from seeing it is what
which
leads
is hilarious,
me to think
by the way.
could be real, which is hilarious. Him being like, "Oh, I'm actually a little spooked." Like, okay, bud. Like, what else scares you?
Yeah.
But that aside from the fact, here's the reason why people think that the Las Vegas viewing is a valid sighting. That there was a private investigator saying he claimed that he saw Men in Black, and that the police set up a camera in the backyard after the incident.
Right.
And those are the two main reasons why people think it's real. And both of those kind of have like explanations to them. One of them being like, we have a real public UAP task force that if this thing got phoned in, they probably got called to check it out and see if it's
dinged or whatever, pinged on, there's, because I mean, imagine how many there, especially these days with it being like at the forefront of everything. Their phones must be lit up.
Secondly, you're telling me the police would be like, no, we're not going to put a camera in your backyard. Like they're going to put a camera in your backyard the second they can.
Yeah,
like it's not like
absolutely.
So here's two reasons why I think that it's not real. Is that the crater that everyone's been talking about has been there for 2 years, available on Google Maps. You're a dummy if you think that's real.
It's too bad.
And that one of the big Ring camera videos where they say that it changes direction is from like months before, which means that it's probably been altered already. So exactly. I'm not going to trust that video. So
what the grainy figure of the eyes in the background behind the trees didn't sell it for you, or
that's the second video that I'm going to talk about. Is like where they have this like arachnid from Men in Black appear after all this editing. You know, like I don't believe that. I believe in UFOs. We saw one, but I think shit like this muddles the water, and I think I'm going to need way more firm evidence.
Absolutely.
Before we call this a real sighting.
If I'm gonna sit there and like question like David Fravor's videos like with a skeptical eye, I'm not believing that shit. You know what I mean? There's just
exactly.
And like just the timing of it, right after Grusch drops all this stuff, and like Grusch is not
pulls a spotlight right away from it.
Yeah, the thing I'll say too about Grusch is so like it blew up completely. It blew up instantly. It was a worldwide phenomenon for like what, a week, and then it just and then people had bills to pay, so they forgot. But it was that story was Looney Tunes compared to some of the more quote unquote believable stuff that's come out. Like
it's Leprechaun tier. It's Leprechaun tier. Y'all seen Leprechaun say yeah? Like no, man, I'm not gonna believe that.
Also, another thing that's really frustrating too is like, I really think it's entertaining. I love to read about like people's sightings and seeing their videos, but it's like a paradox because you have to. So like, for example, I use the Fravor videos. Those were pretty mind blowing because they're not saying they're aliens, but they're saying like, they're like, what is this that can turn on a dime that is, running laps around fighter jets? So you trust the government to release those. You're going to trust those videos, but then like, all the government does is lie. So it's like a paradox of like the UFO is like looking into UFOs is a straight up paradox because you have to trust government officials, and at the same time, all they do is lie. So it's unfortunate. So
is manufactured to be muddled.
Yeah, for sure. Without a doubt.
I feel that the information is manufactured to be muddled to confuse us, so that we can't pinpoint what's actually out there.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where Grusch's reporting goes. Because as soon as I see him, like, oh, come get an autograph and buy my book, he's just going to be one of the other 1,000 people who've done it and come and gone in this. The difference with him is he does have the whistleblower protection, and he sat in front of Congress. It's not like some of these other quacks who are just trying to sell you stickers,
or sell you videos, sell you all kinds of weird stuff. Like there's the problem with politics and UFOs is they're full of grifters. They're full of people trying to just like quit their jobs. Yes. Obviously I would love to do reporting full time. That's why I do this. But like, I'm not going to do that while lying, stretching the truth, and like just making an all-out grift. I want to share information at the best level, and I want to be like as honest and upfront with like my product from here on out.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's
super
it's a great
fun
topic because it makes you.
It's the funnest thing to talk about ever. It's the funnest thing to talk about ever.
I agree. It makes you wonder, and it I think it's important to like try to think outside of yourself. That's why I like it.
I agree. Well, yeah, I'm going to wrap up the podcast. This was the first episode of Crash Landing. I want to thank my cousin Christian for coming on and telling our UFO story. And also, you're going to see us for the next 2 episodes online. Catch the rest of us on YouTube. Follow us on Jaywalk Media, on Instagram, on TikTok, on Threads. Please. Thank you. Bye.